Hello, welcome to a very interesting game. So, to kind of spare you the long story, we'll just make it a few short tips and then I'll speak a little bit about the game. So, top 10 things, top 10 tips. Tip number 1 would be to search in every corner because all of the materials are important and some of them will make the game a lot easier. You can also find hidden guns behind some locations that might seem pointless to even search. Now, what are these materials? Well, this is a crafting game and as you can see, it's a game with crafting and you'll need a lot of stuff to better prepare for some enemies. And later on you'll get even more interesting guns that might use some ammo you are not really stocked up on. Tip number 2. Craft only what you need for a fight. Don't use up all of the resources before you know what you're missing for a fight. You might need something else. This is kind of important. I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. And before a fight, you probably have to craft maybe crossbow bolts, maybe rifle ammo, maybe shotgun ammo, maybe bandages, or maybe even backpacks or molotovs or stuff like that. So I recommend you keep a little bit of a stock of everything because you might get a better weapon or you might get a character or a crystal that will modify the way you play the game. Tip number 3. And this is also very important. Use different guns so you don't drain only one ammo type. Use the crossbow, the pistol, the rifle, shotgun, everything you like. So, shotgun with pistol, sniper rifle with flare gun, crossbow and another pistol. Just try to spread them out as you can. You can also use melee if you're playing on a lower difficulty. In number 4, chemicals are the most rare and important resource. You may be wondering why is that? Well, chemicals are needed to make the med packs, which can give maximum HP bonus of 5 to a character that uses them. Also is a full heal, if I remember correctly. Also removes some of the debuffs as you can see, but more importantly, if you use medkits, you're probably going to have 50 extra HP on a single character. It's going to be a lot in the end game, especially if you can get a character that has a good build. And that's not all you're going to be using the chemicals on. The chemicals are also used to make shotgun shells. Chemicals are also going to be used to make a lot of cocktails, which inflict burning, which might also inflict panic on the enemies. So that's going to be really important. Now let's pick tip number 5. How to equip your characters. So the first 3 characters will be Fidel, Tracker and Voron. If you don't have these ones, don't worry. You're either going to get them or you're going to get something better later. It has bandages, a smoke grenade, pentazepine, and fuel ration. Korban, sniper rifle, flare gun, armor, medkit, and bandages. This guy, Sola, hunting crossbow, the pistol. I said the semi-auto pistol. Bandages, a medkit, and some armor. This is the easy part. How you can do it. Tip number 6. What crystals to use? Well, again, I'll just go about them shortly and then the rest of the crystals you can use to add to their builds. If he has the carry over, at the end of the turn he can save up to 8 and use the action points to the next turn, plus 10 HP. Forsaken, 5 more action points, but if he gets down he dies and that's it, game over. You have to reload, which is kind of a risky thing, but he has a little bit of extra HP. And plus the carryover, which makes a lot of sense. This guy. And he has the silver sliver of vitality. Every critical hit restores 10% HP to every ally, excluding himself. So this will not heal him. Medium. Heal every ally for 25 HP. Exactly as intended, exactly as you hear it. He can only fire once per turn anyway, so with the other action points left, you might as well move, heal everyone, or just reload. Craft on consequence. 10% crit chance, but you have a chance to fully restore target's HP. Well, this never happened until this point, but I am very afraid that might happen to a boss fight. And finally, Sola. Grace, he never misses a shot, which is amazing, especially with the high damage weapon. And then also has the Jewel of Might, sniper rifles and crossbows. Do 50% more damage when you're shooting a target with full HP. Very important to one-shot the zombies. Some other stuff as well. Look at that, giving him accuracy and max HP as well. Staggering Vim. 5% crit chance, which is actually pretty huge, and instantly gives the target 10 action points. Not much to say about here. Works as intended. 7 consumables. So you probably will use some of the consumables together, like for example if you use the pills, give a lot of stuff, but also good for defense, and then you also use the field ration. It's going to be almost impossible to kill on lower difficulties. On higher difficulty, well, he'll still take a lot of damage, but he might go down. Also, the smoke can put out fires and removes burning, as you can see. Plus the evasion, plus the... It's kind of important for Fidel, let's say, to have a lot of healing, tankiness, and once the tankiness is done, you can just throw a smoke grenade and just run away. Other very good consumables will be the Molotov cocktails or the exploding things, exploding pipe bombs. Now this does more damage as it's closer to the enemy. Max range is 10, area radius is 3. So yeah, you can use certain consumables together to kind of change the entire battle in your favor. Like for example, using one of these, the pipe bombs, when the enemies are bunched up, and then using a shotgun shell shot. Or sometimes when you just hide behind a corner and you're just waiting for your enemy, and then you just throw a Molotov cocktail behind them so they cannot run away. Definitely a lot of potential with the consumables in this game. They're definitely a lot more useful than I thought in other games. You also have some crystals to improve your damage resistance when wearing armor plates. Also, you know, 5 max HP, very important. Spoiler, don't use the medkits on Fidel. Just saying. Now let's go to number 8, tip number 8, which will be healing items and crystals. Now there are quite a bit of them, and let's just speak about them shortly. The bandages, as you can see, will remove blood loss, and they don't really give a lot of healing, but they're the easiest ones to make, so super easy to make, but also used super fast. You use the fabrics and the plants, which are not really used in much else except for the crossbow bolts, but you don't really run out of cloth, even for the Molotov. Nope. So the bandages are much easier to craft, plus they stop the blood loss. And then you have the fuel rations. Now, if you think about it, the fuel rations heal kind of slow in the middle of combat, so in the middle of combat you should only be using the med packs for restoring health and also giving more max health. And outside of combat, the fuel rations, in combat, the med pack or the bandages, but don't use up too many bandages because then you no longer have enough to craft the med packs. And what are the other healing ways? Well, more importantly, you'll have the ghoul crystal. Let me find it. It does not. Yeah, ghoul. This gives 5 accuracy, and killing an enemy restores 15% HP, which is huge because if you kill 2 enemies, you'll get a third of your health back. Also, I would like to give Korban this thing over here. Each critical hit restores 10% HP to every ally except himself. So if you really want something that self-heals, you can give him that, so killing or hitting a crit will heal him. You also have the medium skill, which you can probably give to other characters, but Korban just likes to use this skill a lot because he is probably more like a support character anyway. And then this thing over here increases the crit chance, which ultimately just gives a lot more chances for us to restore the HP of our allies. So as you can see, you have a lot of healing methods. So it's up to you to give everyone something that they can heal, but at the same time keep a balanced healing method, because if you use up your resources too fast, then you have nothing left. Might as well use some of the crystals over here, some of those combinations. Worth noting is that there are a few crystals that, for example, like the Ironclad, damage to the armor is reduced by 50%, so you can kind of improve his armor to the point where he doesn't really get damaged anymore, so that can work as well. It's also worth noting that if you extend the duration in fights, you don't get anything. I mean, you don't really get anything except maybe you get another chance to heal using one of these crystals. But overall, I think, well, it's not worth doing. So on the hardest difficulty, you have a limited turn number, but even on easier difficulty, you can just extend and expand the combat to the point where you heal everyone up. You can see why that is not really the case on the hardest difficulty. So this was tip number 8 with healing items and crystal. Let's go to tip number 9, some gun tips. And this is the important part, which I kind of left for a bit later. So the shotgun, as you can see, does variable damage 38 to 75, which means if you're closer to the enemy, you deal more damage to them. So to deal the 75 damage, you need to be close to your enemy. Also look at the weapons having a crit chance and a crit damage bonus. Very important for later. So use the shotgun up close to deal the max amount of damage. This little revolver, as you can see, doesn't really use that much action point to shoot, but it has good damage and a very high crit chance bonus. So if your weapon has a lot of crit chance bonus and a lot of ammo in the gun itself, well, then you can probably use it a couple of times to great success. This is a good combination because it has a little bit of range. The range of the shotgun is terribly small, and then you can just fire out of bullets in case you didn't kill the enemy with the shotgun. Sniper rifle. This is actually a pretty good weapon. It's the highest range weapon you find in the beginning of the game. It also has a high crit chance bonus and good crit damage, so you might as well give it to someone who can actually crit and use it. This is a bit of a gamble, but I think the main idea of the sniper rifle is that you have to use it with Overwatch. So this guy has Overwatch. He enters Overwatch, if an enemy comes close, he shoots it. Very useful for Overwatch, just like XCOM. The flare gun is just kind of like the last resort in case we have to run away or do something, but usually I would have a melee weapon on him. I think the melee weapon would be a lot more useful on him. This guy over here, the hunting crossbow might not seem like a lot, but it has a lot of range. It has an accuracy bonus, even though you don't really miss with it, but it also has a huge crit chance bonus of 25. So even with all of this, he has one chance in effort to inflict a critical hit, which will cause a blood loss effect, which will, I think it's 15 HP per turn, but it only lasts for 2 or 3 turns. But at the same time, you might end up killing the enemy with a crit or a blood loss. So this is going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it very much. Really, there's not a better crossbow, so at some point I'll have to replace this with something else, but till that point it's very, very good. Then you just have the normal semi-auto pistol over here, the Warthog. And the interesting thing about this pistol is that it uses, well, let's just say it does a lot more damage than you'd think, because it has the accuracy bonus and the max range and some of the other stuff. So damage is 25, damage is 35. The revolver does more damage, but this is just a little more reliable and has kind of better stats, same range, critical chance bonus, 15 versus 25. This is more like a weapon you use after you fire your main weapon to kill the enemy. It's a good combination. And tip number 10, don't be afraid to skip fights, but don't skip puzzles, because they will give you the most interesting things. Like the upgrade for the slots, or the crystal slots. So to get more biocrystal slots, you need to find certain locations that will increase your power. As you can see, we're here doing, and we did the solar puzzle. It's easy to do, you just have to put the planet in a location that lights up the orbit. Then this opened and I entered. And I got good loot.
Wait here.
Yeah. Skipping some fights might be mandatory, like if you're supposed to fight some zombies. No, if you can skip them, skip them. You don't lose much, especially on the hardest difficulty. Also, the fights you do skip, you might be able to lose a little bit of loot, but to be honest, it's just better to preserve all of your important resources, like some of the chemicals I spoke about and some of the ammo as well. So, skipping a fight or two might not be the end of the world, which will leave you in a much better position for the next fight, so yeah. Don't be afraid to just think outside of the box with the crystals and the weapons, and just have fun with the game. Bye bye.